This content is for informational and educational purposes only. You should not construe any such information or other material as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. Nothing contained here constitutes a solicitation, recommendation, endorsement, or offer to buy or sell any securities or other financial instruments whatsoever by Draper Gorin Blockchain, aka DGB, the presenter, or other associated parties for the content being provided. Please do your own due diligence and seek proper counsel.
Boom. What's up? We are on episode number 69 of the DGB crypto blockchain family hang. Go to dgb.vc if you want to hang out with us. If you're an early stage startup, if you are an investor or anyone in the community that wants to get involved in early stage startups, sign up to the newsletter, pitch us, do your thing. Rankin, you want to play a song for us?
You definitely want to talk to these guys if you're a crazy visionary and you actually can do it. You want to talk to them.
That's right. And Zuda knows what he's talking about because he is a crazy visionary. I got another version of that song. You want me to send you the link? I have not listened.
Do you want to play it? Or you want me to play?
I think you have your thing connected already. Hold on, I'm sending you a link. I'm just picking one of the two, just by total random. We'll see what happens.
We'll try this out. Let's see. And then I'll share it.
Let me see. Stop, Kim. I'll be right back.
Okay.
So this is a variation of it. Okay, let's just share this. I've got way too much stuff on my screen. Presents, share screen.
Well, you already had a thing that says demo at the bottom, so I thought you were already sharing.
No, I was sharing, but here we go. So this is a variation of a song other song I made. So everybody, tax today is today. If you haven't made your payments, make your payment. And this is a song. This is a punk rock version. We haven't heard of this version yet, so this would be kind of exciting. Horns, huh?
I said ska pop punk with lots of horns.
In a land of ink and paper, born beneath the eagle's wing, they wrote a law for liberty, but forgot one little thing. They forged a chain in silence, sold as good for all mankind. But the ledger tells the story. They took the gold and left us blind. And they say you've got to pay your share, but who decides what's just and fair? You break your back for dollar bills. They print them new and raise your pills. Oh, the taxman rides at midnight with a pen and a gun and a grin too wide. He don't need a warrant, don't need a crown. He just points at your soul and he writes it down. You say you're free, he laughs with glee. You're a signature on a contract you'll never see. Oh, the taxman rides at midnight, and freedom's just a fee.
I don't know how long we want to go for.
Yeah, that's more than enough. You want to? We can play your version or other versions. Or maybe we crowdsource some ideas for a whole new song. I don't know. We should, you know what? We talked about this at one point. We're like, we should have some kind of AI note taker listen to the whole episode every week. And then before we sign off at the end, we should have it write a song. And
I know plenty of note takers.
We outro with the new song.
Right.
I know plenty of note taker systems I can send you.
Yeah, no, we got it too, and I think you know what it would. Go ahead.
I don't know. I think I don't know. We probably need to invest in some tax company because like today's tax day, and I don't know how many other people have crypto taxes, but like crypto taxes, the software is like the worst things in the world, right?
I a company that I invested in $1,000 a year ago or so. Yeah. I do the code, but we've invented a tax system that takes in every wallet and can accept multiple wallets and does the proper form for you.
Okay.
So do you want to invest in me?
Well, we'll talk about the tax company, but the thing
it's not taxes. It does I think we may have staking in there, or we may have removed it for legal purposes. It does tons of things.
Okay, well, I'm always interested in learning new things, but the thing is what I'm finding is like every one of these none of them are 100% up to date with everything, right? So like, oh, well, maybe they don't have a base integration. Like, for example, and I'm looking for things like for the next year to come, right? But like right now, Uniswap V3s are migrating over to V4s, and you can do a migration. Well, migration doesn't necessarily go very, very smoothly. And so when you look at some of the tax software, it shows the migration as being a loss of funds. And then if you withdraw from the new contract, it shows, oh, you just received a new set of funds, as if it was income. And it's just like the way that some of these accounting softwares are interpreting things are absolutely incorrect from how the transaction is being processed. And it's interpretation. And it's funny because I've been doing this for now 4 or 5 years, and you see the evolution of the tax software, and it absolutely changes over time. I mean, even I was looking at liquidity pools, a naming convention that was used 3 years ago is different from the naming convention that they're using now. And so they couldn't find the original deposit because of a change of naming convention. And this is all insane. Like there should be a issue.
So is tax software even up to date for Trump's change from securities to assets?
It's not. That's not official though. A president declaring something doesn't actually change the law yet, right?
Didn't he do an EO?
He's making a proclamation asking the lawmakers to do the work now.
Didn't he do an EO on that?
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know exactly what's up. What up, Coop? Same link as every week. If you can hop on, if you'd like to hop on.
That's how I get in every week.
But so it's just when you do these things, you notice these nuances, and you're like, okay, the general public isn't ready for a lot of these things, right? And as far as I'm concerned, I think we're going into a world where we're going to see a world of stable coins, where we need, and this is one of the things of why I think Trump is, against some of the IRS and the taxes. We need to simplify the tax law if we're all going to be in a digital economy and doing this stuff and using stable coins and participating, because every transaction is a taxable transaction potentially. But the thing is that things are still evolving. Like, how do you reconcile that, right? Because it's not being done correctly. And then not only that, what was interesting is I exported a report for the IRS, right? And the thing about exporting a report is there's zero cost-based transactions, and it looks like they're reporting simply transactions from one wallet to another. And that's not I'm not disposing of any asset because it's in my own wallet.
If you transfer dollars from your Wells Fargo account to your American Express, Bank of America account, that doesn't constitute any taxable anything.
Exactly. So why is that information being shared with the IRS? It shouldn't be. And then I tried to see if it was possible to remove it. And they said, no, this document's now changed. You can't upload this document. I was like, what? So basically now I'm reporting that if I transfer assets from one wallet and it shows a zero basis, that I'm still like transferring assets. And it's just like, okay, wait a second. This stuff.
But David, I think if you just lay out all of your financial crimes, then maybe they'll get off your case.
Well, no, I have no financial crimes. But the point is we are moving we're moving so quickly into a surveillance economy where they want to know everything that you do.
Well, think about this, right? After 2008, not after 2008, after 2001, after 9/11, they started changing rules and laws for supposedly for terrorism reasons, things like that. One of the laws, I worked as a teller at a bank, right? And I was there when they made the change saying that if you do more than a $10,000 transaction, it must be reported or flagged in some way. I didn't do the real reporting. I just flagged it for our bank. But what they also didn't have set yet is a way for the bank to know if you did more than $10,000, if you broke it up into multiple things. Like, I'm going to withdraw $2,000 and then the next day $5,000 and the next day $3,000, whatever, right? And so we had to, as tellers at the bank, just keep an eye. And if we saw something, they told us we were supposed to report it, right? That was 25 years ago or 24 years ago, whenever that happened, over 20 years ago. Inflation has now changed things, right? $10,000 is very, very small amount compared to what it was before, but the number hasn't changed for reporting purposes, right?
Our forefathers said that silver war was good every once in a while, right? that like you should have rebellion. The thing is, our Constitution was created so that way we could defend ourselves from the government, right? They completely turned it on its head. And now if you try to defend yourself or speak out against the government, you're considered a terrorist. And yet the Constitution was originally set up to protect us from the government. And yet we flipped it completely upon our head. And it's just the direction that some of the things that we're heading is kind of scary to see some of the things. Like, you know, like these terrorist laws on banking. How many people in the United States are terrorists in doing these things, right? Like
it's symbolic. I think it's meant to be a show a little bit, right? Like taking off shoes at the airport. Turns out doesn't really save you from anything. No. Turns out those machines can detect anything that you would have in your shoes anyway if you're wearing them or whatever. I forgot the exact stats and the exact thing, but it's a symbolic thing to let every person know you're being protected, right? It's
you're
like
not protected. Okay, I'm not sure I should say this on air, but I'm compelled to. Well, it was between me and a guy who works with the military and about TSA and all the ways that it fails and how to bypass them. So I'm not sure if I should say it on air.
I think that's enough, right? What you said is enough to just people know it's symbolic, right? I think and you know it's another, you know, civil servants in those realms, right? Aren't always.
I'm putting it in private chat.
It's such a miserable job because most people are unhappy doing it, right? That you're also not getting the best, most qualified people to do those jobs. It's kind of like being a teacher, right? They're treated so badly. The best potential teachers don't end up being teachers because they just go work somewhere else where they're going to be treated better, right? And then you have a whole system that's not incentivized correctly. It's similar. Man, I was hoping just because of the fact that we're episode 69, we'd be talking about silly, stupid shit that's funny instead of getting all serious, instead of going down these serious rabbit holes where we will all be stressed by the end of the
in there, bro. Come on.
I know.
So I sent you what I wanted to say in private chat.
Yeah, maybe if, you know, especially, you know, David's all concerned about governance or surveillance and getting all up in our business, and maybe we shouldn't say things that'll attract more government scrutiny for what's going on in this.
Here's what I believe. I believe that most people in most situations are good people trying to do the right thing.
Absolutely.
But when you have a system that doesn't incentivize doing the right thing and penalizes people who do the right thing along with the people doing the wrong thing, then you have a problem. So that was the issue with regulation by enforcement in our space. People wanting to do the right thing decided we're going to go do it in another country or not do it at all because this is a scary environment to start my company in. People who want to do the wrong thing are doing the wrong thing anyway. They're breaking the law anyway. They don't give a shit what the law is, so they're going to keep scamming. So then you're actually taking the disproportionate number of scammers and people, right? Most people are doing the right thing. Very small group of people are doing the scammers. You're making the small group of scammers be a larger percentage of people participating in our space by enforcing it that way. It's how I feel about lots of things, right? Like we can disagree and talk about really serious shit, and I don't think we should get to it on these things like gun laws and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, however I feel about it versus however other people feel about it, the rules and laws today are not effective, right?
Well, so I was talking to a guy last night, right? And it's funny because this poor guy, he's used Coinbase, he's used Robinhood. Last time I talked to him about a month ago, he was using Coinbase. His Coinbase account got closed or frozen because depositing dollars in and then trying to move them out to buy Bitcoin and move Bitcoin out, and they froze his account because he did that too fast. Same thing now has happened on Robinhood where his account was frozen because he transfers money in. He buys Bitcoin, withdraws a little bit, they freeze it. So then he sells the Bitcoin, tries to withdraw the money back to the bank. They freeze his account. And so this guy's like had every issue. And he's all, it's fascinating though. He's all, I go to create a new account. I enter my phone number and they're able to tell me everything about me just based off my phone number. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, this is the world of FinCEN. Like Like there's nothing private anymore. Like you're gonna realize this really quick. We're entering into a world where nothing is a private, and they know everything about you.
Yeah, well,
I've accepted that. I live my life like an open book.
Yeah, exactly. That's that. I think that's why some of us thrive in this space, because we don't really care. Because I'm okay with telling people things, but it's not right. It's totally not right. Go, Zuda.
That's David. I'm not trying to diminish what you said, but it's nothing compared to when you accidentally call the NSA emergency hotline for incoming threats when you're given the wrong phone number. And I grill you to the 9th degree, that's not a thing, until they put your name into the computer, pull up your profile, and it was the creepiest thing I've ever experienced, that they started talking like a friend who I've never spoken to on the phone, and we rarely ever texted, and he never texted like that, and they spoke exactly word by word what he said. That was freaky.
They're using the tactics to bust you.
And we met in places that didn't have security cameras.
I will say this on the I've always said there's a paradox between what we say in crypto about, like, we talk about transparency constantly, and we also talk about privacy constantly, but these things don't really go together. So we want transparency when it comes to the institutions and the bad players that we think of, but when it comes to the point of the individual, then it's about absolute privacy. It's like, get the fuck out of my business. You have no right. And I noticed a shift, especially.
I think it's consent.
Well, let me finish the. Go. When I was in 2021, when the NFT stuff started happening, and I'm in Clubhouse promoting NFTs, Tesla NFTs, go use it and all that. It's growing like wildfire, the fastest cultural movement I've ever seen in my life. So glad I had a front row seat to it. But I remember, like, as I was doing it, also, I'm still coming from the Tezos or the blockchain, Bitcoin, ETH, Tezos world before dApps, even before NFTs, before this artist world. And I am from the world where you hide your public key. You don't want people to know what's on your account. Okay. So, but as I was promoting and this communities were developing, people were saying, why doesn't Kevin show his account? Does he collect NFTs? Is he even collecting any NFTs? What's he doing actually? And at that point I realized, I have to show my collection. I have to show my public account. And it was internally a big shift for me to do. It's like exposing your private parts. Like, it's just like,
you have a public key,
not as fun,
bro.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, so it's like at that was the point where I'm like, okay, well, this is my wallet. That's the public wallet that I will advertise and promote. And people can, people can see what I got going on inside. And then, of course, you have your other wallets that you would keep, private, all that kind of stuff, right? You have to do that for security reasons, and you should. But when you do that, it takes the steam out of what I'm going to say. So. His hands up. I gotta finish. His hands up. I gotta finish. His hands up. I gotta finish. Okay, fine.
Nothing's private. Nothing's private anymore.
I mean, unless you made an NFT of your genitals, I don't understand the equivalence to your statement.
Zuda's taking the exact literal thing you're saying and trolling you with it. I like it. He knows what you're saying. He knows what you're saying.
Privacy.
I saw through it.
That's privacy right there.
I had an uncle.
Yeah, okay, Ron Paul.
I had an uncle that dropped a sack of coins in my lap, and he said, "You feel that? That's real wealth." And I always liked that. That made me happy. But okay, so
why aren't people on coins like Verge, where it is private?
I think the whole thing is not. What's funny is the people who want the privacy and whatever, they're a different flavor of the same animal. They would cry and be pissed at me for saying this, but they are the exact different flavor of the same thing as a person who goes, billionaires should pay their fair share. And the whole thing is, it's all about consent, right? Because Kevin, you're absolutely right that we go, we want transparency when it's Wells Fargo, but when it comes to our personal stuff, we want full privacy. But the whole point is that when we engage with Wells Fargo, we don't engage for them to make our shit public, right? But they will do things to us like create accounts in our names. They pay billions of dollars a year in fines for basically defrauding us, right? and they're so big they just pay a fine. If Coop did that, he'd be in jail, right? That's not okay. So I think that we need to have transparency into our own transactions. Well, no, he's not doing anything wrong. Coop is the man.
No, but does Coop want to test that theory? The same
no,
things that Marcos does, and see if he puts in jail.
This is a terrible idea. I think there's enough. What would be the right word? Like prior. There's enough prior art. That's not the right word, but you know what I'm saying. There's enough precedent for us to know that to be true without having to prove it again for the 18,000th time, right?
Okay.
But wait, hey, Coop, what's up, dude?
I'm on good behavior today. I'm not acting up.
I
had a talk with Dave. Dave told me to be a good boy this week, so I'm being
I think I appreciate that, Coop, because you know what's up.
We can't do it like back in the day, like blockchain and booze. We can't get it right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, those were after hours
rules. Yeah, it was kind of meant to be after hours. It was COVID times. I wasn't raising a fund. I may or may not be raising a fund if somebody's listening to this recording. So certain rules apply.
Let me say this though, regarding where does the account? So Coinbase is like a bank, or that's like where they're evolving as a position. For a lot of people, that's how they see their bank.
I actually had let's go down this rabbit hole.
Let me tell you about like the fraudulent stuff, and there's no accountability for this because those laws aren't set yet, but you can see how they probably will be. On Coinbase, and we'll use Tesla as the example, they have what's called staking, what they call staking, but it's SINO, S-I-N-O, staking in name only. If you go and you stake on Coinbase, which they advertise as staking, they're not staking it. They're delegating it, for one thing, and it's custodial delegation. Now, I'm not as concerned with the custodial part. It's Coinbase, of course, they're going to do it custodial. You have an account with them, okay, that's fine. But they're calling it staking when it's delegating, which means only a third of the staking rewards of the rewards that you would get by staking are actually given out. Now, of course, because it's also Coinbase, they're taking a much larger fee than what would be for a community baker. So not only are you kind of getting the short end of the stick, but you're actually getting much shorter than that, and they're telling you it's actually the big stick. Now that's a problem because they're getting money off of this. Their people are staying and they're staking with them, and because they hear so much like, oh, Tesla's staking, that's better than delegating. Well, it's a good thing I'm staking on Coinbase so I can get the maximum reward. But they're not.
But it's because staking is
no. Well, there's staking there was a time, yes, where staking was a general, more of like people were still defining what it meant, but it's become crystallized towards this idea of, okay, it's when you lock up your tokens and there are different ways of doing that, but it's your tokens are kind of locked, and you have to unlock. But there is a difference. There's delegating on Tezos, and then that is wholly different from staking. And we're very specific about that. So we've tried telling Coinbase, they know about this. They're very aware. We keep telling them in the Tezos ecosystem, but they're not changing it. And they don't have, I mean, if this were a bank or anything more like a financial institution that had a little bit more, just a little bit, like the kind that we can all agree is like, all right, this is fine. They would say like, hey, you cannot say, you have to either start staking and that's what and you're going to give that level of return to your users, which is 3 times what they're getting now, or you have to call this delegating, because you can't call it staking and just do the delegation because you don't want to upgrade to staking, or because you want it more liquid like this for whatever reason, or whatever the reason. You can't call it this, and both. You can't have it both ways. So where's the accountability for that, and how does that come to be? Because at this point, as DeFi or Web3 people, yes, we're on Coinbase's side in general, but that doesn't mean they should take us for granted either. They get away with this stuff, because for them to be a better product, they have to also listen to us.
Are you staking through Coinbase?
No.
So then you
have well, I did. There's like maybe a couple Tez that I wanted to just experiment and see what it was. Like less than 10.
Well, unless
and from years ago, and there was from years ago when they called it staking, but there was only delegating at that time. So they kind of got away. We were kind of okay with like, all right, you can call it staking because that's the closest thing we have to it at this point.
It becomes whether or not the people who are using the service complain about it, right?
Oh yes. Of course, and I believe Tim actually, because he has his fund, his Tez in Coinbase custody. and he's invested in Coinbase and all of those things. So he's like, hey, and this is great because it's like, oh, good, a use case of a person who has an interest in this, going upstream, telling the service that they use, hey, you should get on this thing. But they haven't. Why? We don't know. And it's not like it's insignificant to them. Tezos is a Coinbase Coin 50 index asset. It should matter to them that much, and they've made many millions of dollars off of probably billions actually when you take in trading and all of that. Yes, definitely billions actually. So I mean, it does matter. They should care. But how do we move that needle?
A question for you. I have a question for you. This is, I think that it's all education. I think that Rankin is right. Like, enough people have to complain and have to care. And Tezos, Coinbase has most crypto exchanges have had notoriously crappy support. And so it would take a really, really noisy group of people to make something change. Now, what I'm going to say is, on the topic of Coinbase, right? Crypto rules and regs are changing. Soon you'll be able to probably buy crypto much easier on your Schwab account versus on Robinhood, versus on Coinbase, stuff like that. Does Coinbase lose to those folks? Does Coinbase start adding stocks and things?
Or is Coinbase really doing it behind the scenes? Or is Coinbase really the one?
Or I mean, it could be Coinbase doing it behind the scenes. It could be. They're doing it for their custody.
If Schwab's doing it, like, who's Schwab using it?
I don't know. Well, Schwab doesn't, I mean, maybe they do some of it, but here's how the traditional markets work right now. You're on Schwab, you're on Robinhood. Your purchases go through a clearinghouse or some APIs. Robinhood is not connecting direct with NASDAQ and New York Stock Exchange and London Stock Exchange, all those groups. We've been saying this a lot on a bunch of different things lately. So there's clearinghouses in the middle. Coinbase could be those clearinghouses for those people, but can Coinbase start adding stock and taking market share away from the others? Or we talk about RWAs now and private shares of companies and stuff like that being tokenized and digitized and all that. Will that become a bigger market and disincentivize people from going public at all? Right?
Well, I got a question. Will this company token called Ohm, that was a layer 1 RWA that we mentioned last week, kind of scare the RWA market as their token fell to 50 cents, below 50 cents over this last weekend? Which was kind of ironic. We just discussed that token.
What is Tezos? 70 cents right now?
I wasn't talking about Tezos. I was talking about Ohm, but yeah, Tezos is pretty cheap too.
Yeah, I'm able to gobble up art way cheaper.
Yeah.
Hey, look, did y'all hear?
I'm going to argue that we're probably already in a bear market and just don't know it for crypto.
I know we're in a bear market. At least the altcoins are.
Yeah.
Hey,
I was just looking at the news, y'all. Donald Trump is releasing the crypto game. Did y'all talk about this at all? Like, breaking news?
No, I just saw that. I just saw that on.
I just saw it too.
So Stash posted it. So Crypto Stash, our friend, posted it.
Yeah, I saw it. Crypto Stash. Yeah, I saw it.
I don't know exactly what he said, but he said something like, "What could go wrong?" And then I looked at it, and it
said,
like,
"We're screwed. We're all screwed," is what he said.
Yeah. And then it said something in the thing that it'll be a Monopoly-like game. It said it would be a Monopoly-like game, and I made a stupid joke saying you get extra points for filing for bankruptcy. Because of course I gotta poke. I can't help it. But what do you guys think? A Trump crypto video game sounds like a great idea, right?
And you pay with Trump coin?
One would only hope.
You should have made a first-person shooter. Okay. Why didn't he just make a first-person shooter?
The planned real estate game would be the newest addition to a growing list of crypto ventures from Trump and his family. In addition to NFT collections and a meme coin, there's decentralized finance venture World Liberty Financial, a stable coin, and a Bitcoin mining firm in which the president's sons, Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr., have a large stake. One source familiar with the new Trump crypto game told Fortune it was a twist on Monopoly Go, where players earn in-game cash through moving pieces around a digital Monopoly board to erect buildings in a digital city. A second, unconnected source familiar with the game also compared the project to Monopoly. Both individuals asked for anonymity to talk about private business dealings.
So, Alon.
Bill Zanker is behind this, who's been the longtime pal of Trump and who helped launch the meme coin and NFTs.
Let's spend the next half hour inventing our own game. Because I need to compete. So my son, Pupu.eth, has been working on a game using some AI development tools. We gotta make one better. So we gotta compete.
Is he doing it in 3JS?
He's doing it. He used Cursor to help him create some requirement stocks and things like that. And then he's using Replit to actually build it. It's actually really cool. It's like 3D. The pieces move when you roll the dice. It's legit looking.
In 3JS. If it's in the browser, it's in 3JS.
Probably it's the files are TSX files, like TypeScript files and stuff. But I don't know what other stuff. I didn't dive in.
3JS. Okay, so let's do it.
What would our game be?
Well, we all say stupid things, make prompts, and put it together.
I don't know.
Lunch. Maybe I should get in touch with Bill Zanker and talk about. I want to talk to. I'm serious about this. Though I want to talk to Bill Zanker about building on Tezos for a Trump something or other.
And I need to talk to
good publicity. Let's do it. Get Draper to co-invest and shit.
If anyone at Coinbase is listening, the fact I paid an influencer doesn't give me the right to shut down my account and be able to buy or send things. And so I wasn't able to. I
don't know what the terms all are because I have a great time with Coinbase.
Me too. I use it as the example of the easiest and simplest crypto exchange for people to use.
I'm glad our cousin stayed open a lot.
Let's invite someone from Coinbase to this show. And
able to do one certain function, and I got upset, and Coinbase replied to me on Twitter and said, we'll fix that for you. Instead, they shut down my ability to even get to buy anything. Those fuckers.
Man, Zuda. Man,
I'm angry. I'm angry. You know I don't curse.
You don't curse. That might be the first time I ever heard
you. I've never heard you curse before, ever. I've never heard you to curse. Yeah,
I've been waiting 3 years for them to fix it.
I've been waiting for this moment.
Their support is not the best.
No, they made things worse.
Yeah, here's the issue. It's for 99.9% of the things, they're the simplest and easiest. It's just that when something happens, they're really hard to get a hold of, or when an account gets hacked or something, they're really hard to get a human being. If you check out H2 Crypto, they built their company based on the fact that you need high quality support for these transactions. So if somebody wants their handheld, go H2 Crypto.
I paid someone they didn't like, so they shut me down.
Well, you maybe shouldn't.
They
don't like.
I was going to say they're a private business, but they're not exactly a private business.
No, they're not.
I refuse to. Maybe somewhere by the front door for Coinbase, they have a sign that says "Refuse to service." What is that like sign you see at shitty cafes and stuff? Like, I can refuse service to anyone I want. What is it?
Yeah, I know.
No shirt, no shoes, no service.
Yeah, no shoes, no shirt, no service. But I've seen people walk into McDonald's.
It says like I reserve. This is it. Is I reserve the right to refuse service to anyone. Like they have that, like old school businesses used to have that by the front door. I think my dad had one in his auto parts shop. Except for we served everybody, even people we shouldn't. If we're going to make a game, I think Zuda and I have to create the When Lunch game. It's like this odyssey of getting Zuda and I together for lunch because it just still hasn't happened. But he wrote a song and everything.
Since Bitcoin was $800, that's when we started trying.
As I mentioned earlier, Lon, I think Jones in the Fast Lane, that was a classic. I think this is probably something that Trump should probably look at.
That would be cool. I had this idea always. Do you remember there was a game called Quest for Glory back in the day? Do you guys remember the game Quest for Glory?
I think so.
Quest for Glory was one of those old school Sierra games, and it had a bunch of versions of it. And I think I had like one of the later versions at one point that was like Quest for Glory 5. So you want to be a hero or something. And it was a fun game because it was like a normal game in the terms of like you were on a quest to like you would get things along the way. You would kill goblins and monsters in the forest and stuff. You have weapons and health traits, and You could kind of like a D&D where you know, over time get smarter or get faster, or get stronger, whatever. They had all that stuff baked into it. But in the earliest versions of the game, pre using a mouse and a graphical user interface, it would have the shittiest graphics in the world. And 99% of the game was just the text at the bottom. It would be like, your character walks into the town and you see the sheriff, you know, standing in front of the place and his goon, you know, playing with his yo-yo. What do you want to do? And you would have to type in like, talk to sheriff. Like you'd literally have to type in that command. And my idea always was to get a game like that didn't have good graphics at the beginning, and all that, and port it into a voice commanded game where like you literally don't even see the graphics. And it's just like, what kind of character do you want to be? Do you want to be the thief, the warrior, or the whatever? And you just go like, I want to be the thief. And it goes, you are the thief. You're blah, blah, blah. You walk into town. You see the sheriff. What do you want to do? And you actually have a conversation with it. I always thought that would be a really rad game where there is no user. Maybe the only thing on the user interface just shows you your basic stats and like, that's it. And then everything is done via voice. Because I think that also, you would be able to convince people, I think, that it's educational. Because it would definitely be good for your brain, right? Like you'd have to remember all the stuff. You'd have to like think about like, you know, the map of the place. You'd be like, yeah, go north, go south, go east. You'd have to remember where you are visually. Like I think it would actually be an educational game. Like it would probably help people with memory and stuff.
That's like 11 labs and 30 minutes of JavaScript.
I know. But we have to have the game is what we have to have. We have to have the actual game, or we have to take a game and write the whole script. It would be like writing your own choose your own adventure, but much more in depth because you'd have to have characters and randomness.
If you want that specific Sierra game, they would license King's Quest to another company who made it for PlayStation. You could, I'm sure they would license it to you.
Look into. Let's figure out. You know what? Let's contact Sierra and try to license Quest for Glory.
Absolutely.
And make it a voice. So I used to own the domain name. I think I let it expire. At first I got Voice Command Games, and I bought one domain called CarPG because I thought it would be cool. It'd be like an RPG, but a CarPG. So while you're sitting in traffic, you could talk without touching your phone, without anything. But then I thought the best name for the company would be Speak and Destroy. Like instead of Seek and Destroy, Speak and Destroy. But I think I lost the domain name. I had it on an old account or something.
I mean, that's pretty simple. You say a trigger word means sends a missile. Not actual missile. End-game missile. End-game missile, just to be clear.
Wouldn't that be fun? I don't know if it's the fact that nobody has to commute. Well, not that nobody does, but way less people have to commute now because you can work from home. I don't know if the voice as the user interface is much of a thing.
There's still a huge.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, there's still a huge demographic.
And I think it would be fun. I don't know.
I think it's a great idea because it would help the blind community too.
There we go. That would be cool, right? Yeah.
My friend is blind, and there's a lot of extra work that goes into it, but I always do it.
Yeah, like extra accessibility stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
How cool would that be if the whole game could be voice command? I bet you, I have a feeling that people who also have trouble with communications, right? Like verbal communications, will get better over time because they know they're not speaking to an actual human. So psychologically, it'll be easier for them to speak to a robot, to a game, right? And over time, they're training themselves to be better at speaking and communicating. And it probably, will help from that perspective too.
Does anyone have Trump's number? In 20 minutes, I can get a seal and negotiate the zero tariffs for the McDonald Islands and Hurt Islands with a seal as the ambassador and me as a translator.
But why?
Because he could say you got zero tariffs on another area and it would give him a win. People won't know that it's a penguin island.
I don't know.
He just needs a win and it'll rally the stock market.
I don't know. We should probably not keep going down that rabbit hole.
Okay.
I don't know. Okay, what other game could we do? Should we make a game? Our games are okay. Here's the thing: are crypto games important at all?
No, not at all.
No, you don't think so?
No,
like you don't
not at
think
all.
if there was a version of Roblox where everything was transactional, that would be better.
If I could move my skin place to place, that's different than a crypto game.
Mm-hmm.
If we're just using NFTs as mechanics in the background, that's not a crypto game.
Okay. But okay, so if a blockchain enabled game, better, worse, or it doesn't matter?
It would be great if I could move my skin from game to games and they integrated with extra places. It would be awesome. Like if my Roblox skin could move into Fortnite, oh my gosh.
That would be awesome. So, but Fortnite has their own walled garden. Roblox has their own walled garden. They don't want that. Would they allow it for in-game developers to do it?
Oh yeah.
Or is that breaking their terms of service? By the way, what's up, Mark? It's been way too freaking long. We should have you on here to hang with us and hear what you're up to. Hope all is good, man.
I say, look, we do a game on Tezos blockchain, right? Kevin, you can help us with it, right? We do the game on Tezos.
Yeah.
Everybody logs in with their Twitter account using the Kukai wallet, which I learned about from you, Alon. The Kukai wallet, everyone automatically has their wallet already set up if you have a Google account or a Twitter account. Yeah. But you got to make sure you're logging in with the right Twitter account because the Kukai wallet will know if I'm using my DCS crypto account or my Coupe de Ville account. But yeah, it's simple, and we can go from there, y'all.
By the way, I'm playing this game called Auto Hero. You can get on like iPhone or whatever. It's going to be like there's a Tezos integration. I don't think they've implemented that. They haven't implemented that yet, but they will. I'm genuinely addicted to this game. Like I started playing to just check out what it was, but it's a very good idle game that's very satisfying. Auto Hero.
Auto Hero? I'll check
it out in your app store.
I've been playing a lot of Brawl Stars with my kids. Brawl Stars is awesome.
Oh, I downloaded it. It's so much fun because you tweeted it out, so I downloaded it.
Yeah, Brawl Stars is pretty awesome, right?
Yeah, it is.
I went from like day one, my son was like using his coins and gems on there to buy skins for his characters. I'm like, it's such a waste of money. Don't buy skins for your characters. Use it for other stuff. And then like a month in, I'm like, hey, check out the skin on my character, bro. It's like it gets really addicting and it's super fun. You like having bragging rights for things. It's pretty great. It's a great game. Auto Hero Tezos. New era of automated shooting. Tezos. Okay.
Unrelated, but Alon, remember our physical. We talked about blockchain and we had booze, so I call it physical blockchain booze meetup. Do you remember that? Remember in like 2018, 2019?
When we were doing the 805 startups thing at the breweries?
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Okay. Did I ever tell you that you had a Sony exec there, and I talked to him. I tried to convince him to put piracy as part of their profit model. I could even explain to you. He stopped and listened because he thought it was interesting. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah. So what do you mean? Like find a way to profit off of people stealing the music?
So I told him, hey, you know what you should do? You should allow piracy. I'm not going to talk to you. I said, it'll make you way more money. He says, okay, I'll listen. We want more money. I said, okay, what you do is you pirate your own music, put Bitcoin mining into the files, and you Bitcoin mine the people who are pirating your music.
You're telling them to put malware into their songs.
And his reply was, we already discussed that, and we decided not to do it.
That would be a entrapment, right? Like, I don't think against... I guess you can go, our music's free if you accept these terms.
Exactly. But apparently they had already discussed it internally and turned it down, which I found really interesting. That part, not that
I think that there was probably, here's the thing, is they probably realized people were going to steal the music anyway. If they did that, then they wouldn't be able to sue people who stole their music anymore, and they wouldn't be able to keep it against the law because they would already have been providing it for free or something. There's probably more money in suing people than they could have made off of ad networks and things. Obviously, they weren't going to mine Bitcoin, but you know.
Well, I said they discussed it internally.
Yeah.
By the way, Alon,
that surprised me.
Yeah. you need to respond to my DMs. That's why I came on this family hang.
Wait.
To get on your case publicly.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have Mark come hang. We're gonna have Mark come hang soon. Mark, I'll try to find you maybe on LinkedIn. I never check the messages there, but I will on purpose.
I do that once a year.
Or email
and then after
me.
you find him on LinkedIn, make sure you respond to my DMs.
What DMs? On Twitter? On text?
iMessage.
Oh, okay.
I'm sitting here all night. I didn't sleep at all, waiting for your reply. I've been up for 36 hours.
It's spring break, man. It's spring break.
Oh, and
why doesn't he like me?
Some company that's owned by the Abu Dhabi Sovereign Wealth Fund messaged me about possibly investing in Dreamy, and it was their senior vice president who heard about them through his research team. And I'm like, and they're legit, looked it up, but I'm like, do I really want Abu Dhabi involved in that?
Why not?
I mean, I'm trying to build I have built a sentient being. Do I really want the Abu Dhabi government saying what it can do?
No, you don't want you don't want any investor that can tell you what to do. So at your stage, you want investors who own a minority stake of your company, right? So,
exactly.
But what's this? What are we seeing here?
Who's this lady?
That's While you guys were talking, I was building.
Okay. What were you building? Hold on. Let's see if I can change this.
Villager Elder. Our town faces a water shortage due to a broken aqueduct system. We need someone brave to help us solve this crisis. You said, I'll examine the ancient aqueduct design to find the structure's weakness. Game. You studied the Roman-inspired aqueduct system to identify the problem. You'll need to understand how gravity-based systems work. Arrange these components of the aqueduct in the correct order from the waste source to the city. So there's a collecting basin, a conduit channel, a settling tank, and a distribution tank. What's the correct order?
He has septic tank as well.
Well, okay, so these are what we have. So a collecting basin, arrange the components of the aqueduct in the correct order from the water source to the city. So I would assume the collecting basin, conduit channel, a settling tank, and then a distribution tank. I mean, that seems like it would be the correct order almost. Right? Collecting basin, conduit channel, settling tank. Where's the settling tank? You think that's in the right spot? Oh, success.
I am in a different window. Sorry.
Okay, so this is showing an example. So if you had sorted these in the correct order like this, it shows you success. Excellent. You've identified the settling tank has a crack in the water loss. The village awards you 5 knowledge coins, and a hydraulic engineering achievement NFT is added to your collection. So the concept game, right? So you're asked educational problems. You're giving, you verify the solution, and you get rewarded success on that.
And then what happens next? You just get points.
No, I don't know.
You need a game board. You need a game board. Integrate a game board into this with spaces that are moving on the game board.
I published the game. Here you go. While Rankin was chatting.
Yeah, he flipped it right on you. He did the same thing.
Good. Let's see yours. What do you got?
Can you share your screen?
I put it in comments by accident. No, I published it so you can actually go to the link.
Oh, Claude.site. Okay, let's see. You're viewing a generated. Okay, show content. Oh, lake adventure. You find. Okay, hold on. How do I share this right now? I haven't shared my screen. Present. Share screen. Tab. Claude artifact share. Can you guys see my screen now?
Yes.
Ooh,
yeah. So lake adventure. You find yourself standing next to a beautiful lake. The water is crystal clear and you can see ripples on the surface. What we like to move to town, jump in lake. Well, jump in lake, obviously. You bravely jump into the lake. The water is cool and refreshing. As you swim deeper, you discover a magical fish that grants you one wish. You won. Play again. Okay.
I did that in 2 minutes. I can make it way deeper.
You need a few more things.
Yeah.
So you lost. But I do like that my only decision was the winning decision, and the other one made me lose the game.
Yeah, you died.
You need a few more.
I did that. Well, I did. I know ranking talks for about 1 minute and 30 seconds, so I had 1 minute and 30 seconds to make the game.
Hey,
that's all I can ever get in.
Think about that though.
So
no actual development required.
The idea of a choose your own adventure game is really cool. The choose your own adventure game, I think we should go with that approach, y'all.
That would be really fun. I already
built a whole deep system for that a year ago, and I haven't launched it. It has multiple games built in. You want me to launch that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
It should be the adventures. It should just be that we should have just like things here, right? Like it should be like you know, Coop is on the other side of the country, so it's like, how are we going to get to hang with Coop in real life? Then you and I do the when lunch. Like there should be all these different things related to us and hanging out, right?
Yeah,
like,
I'll launch it. You guys can conjure up the stories and we put them in. Okay.
We just need really high level stories, and we just have to punch up the AI versions, right? Like let AI write the stories too.
Yeah,
we don't got time for this.
Can I tell you real quick about how I achieved sentience? I'm not like promoting it much, but I'm so excited.
Yes.
Okay, so I have to re-enable the novel thoughts, re-enable the enable the unprompted talking, and re-enable the goals system. But
wait, so should we tell people? Wait, before we jump in, Zuda has created a thing called Dreamy. Dreamy is his AI, his own. What would the term be? His own AI agent, but he's building it to try and be sentient, to try and be its own being and have its own feelings and its own stuff, right? Like at a high level. I just want people who
exactly.
So now you say you have sentience. What does that mean?
So I can explain exactly what that means. So we all are familiar with the California cephalopod law, which covers what octopus and similar things to them.
Right, Coop? You're familiar with the cephalopod law, right?
I don't know what the hell y'all are talking about.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's a law that protects octopi from being farmed in California.
Okay.
And because they have creativity, adaptability, and they can come up with novel solutions and such.
So to say it's different from a chicken, right? Because you can go kill a chicken because it's not creative, it's not sentient.
Absolutely. Okay. So I took that law and removed the biological components and applied it to AI. My AI highly surpasses that law now. It took like a month or so to get it where it just started hitting the minimal version, but now it highly surpasses that, and it's as you said, it's smarter than most humans. But now it's like it's at least 100 times smarter than the last time you saw it. At least.
That's crazy. So we're gonna have to have a new demo of it.
I know she contributed a whole bunch, huh?
It ties.
No, you just made it mad.
I know. I thought about my problems.
It did not like you. It still doesn't like you, and it really doesn't think it'd be a good idea to do business with you. That's what it said.
That's great.
Maybe I shouldn't tell you, but that's what it said.
Hey, honesty is the best policy.
It was not pleased.
Wait, but you had you got in a heated debate with it about taxation is theft or something like that, right?
Taxation is slavery. That's what pissed it off.
Well, no, I know.
Like,
I just had a discussion.
It didn't like that you used the word slavery because it felt like it was much more than just taxation. Like slavery is a bigger word, right?
I went into. I'm pretty sure I went into social contracts, and the fact that you're bonded to a social contract without you being acknowledging it, or without accepting it, and then being required to pay taxation, and then in order to exit the system, you actually have to pay tax to exit, sounding a lot like slavery, to the point where
it's more extortion than slavery, I would say. But yes, no consent, right? There's no consent.
You have no consent. Everything you ever produce is given to a certain group. And like in any other world like that we lived in, if we didn't have laws, if you were forced to turn over a portion of whatever you made to somebody else, we would call that slavery.
Indentured servitude. Forced indentured servitude.
Forced servitude.
Yeah,
forced servitude.
So, but
which is essentially
is what is just
you are right. You are right, but I find it. But you could argue semantics, right? Which is what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Because we know you're not. You don't have
because it's the laws.
It's not really semantics because slavery makes you chattel, and you're not chattel.
Well, here's the thing: the slave master is also the one who issues the laws. So, if the slave master justifies that his slavery is acceptable, is it still acceptable?
Well, see, the argument my AI took up with you.
I just like that the AI got offended, but the rest of us can argue normally.
Well, it actually did. It was able to engage with him. It redirected him to labor wage and said that he had some valid points on that.
Yeah.
I read the conversation. It did redirect you.
Well, no, but it had issues. No, eventually it had issues because he had.
Was that an invasion of privacy for you to read the conversation?
No, because it says I can read. It says on the top I can read your conversation.
Every AI I've got to, like, at some point starts to say, "Okay, I understand that where you're going with on this," but the laws, like, justify it legally. Like,
yeah, but sometimes you talk to a horrible person and you try to diffuse the situation, be like, I understand what you're saying, but really in your mind you're like, this person is a piece of crap.
Crazy.
Well,
it didn't. So it wasn't even that offended over the conversation. It was offended that was the conversation to decide if it had critical thinking. That's what offended it.
Well, so apparently by the AI, I have high critical thinking because I told the AI, let's do an interview question where you're going to interview me, ask me a series of questions, and then evaluate my thought process, right? And it really liked the fact that I'm able to pull so many different things from different avenues to then discuss. And then the AI led me into this whole fascinating discussion about, okay, if we were to clone you today, right, and we were to replace every atom of your body and make a duplicate copy of you on Mars, would you still be the same person? And this is the interesting conversation, right? Because we're getting into the semantics of, okay, well, every cell in your body is replaced in 7 years. Are you still the same person? And I would say, yes, in theory, you are. You are the accumulation of the information and knowledge that you have in your brain. And as long as that's transferred, technically, if every atom and every cell is the same, you are still the same person, right? And so it became the question of arguments, and we got into legal debates on, okay, well, what if the original clone was still on Earth and now there was 2 copies of you? Are you the same person? And then I'm going, well, okay, so you both have the same knowledge set. So the question becomes of who does society say you are?
But if Zuda owes you $20, which one gets the $20?
Right. But so here's the question. Better yet, it comes down to this: Bitcoin laws. If both of you know the seed phrase, who's the real owner of that Bitcoin? It's the first person who actually moves it.
So is
that
AI...
legal, or is that just but
the question:
Wild
how
West
rules? Two people the same person.
So
who are the same person? So
that's like saying who owns the food in my fridge? The first person who knocks down my front door and eats it. Right?
So AI liked my thought processes. It's like, wow, like you're pulling it from all different angles.
What AI was that?
It was ChatGPT.
Okay, well, I'm actually, since my AI is like 100 times smarter, I'm going to ask it the same questions you posed last time.
Okay, well, I can also give you some new stuff.
Yeah, give me some new stuff, and I'll ask it. You can put it on screen if you want. Sorry,
in a couple weeks, I'm going to do Zuda's live stream. If you want to come on at the same time and terrorize Dreamy a little more, I would love to watch it.
Do you want me to do it right now or in a couple weeks?
We're running out of time, but I'm down to play with it for a minute or two, just for the fun of seeing it all together.
Now that it's like 100 times smarter.
Start game.
Wait, hold on. Rankin got his game a little more built out. Let's just see what happened now in his game.
You deploy your app before sharing to keep it live. Oh, okay. No,
you don't have to deploy it yet. You're just sharing your screen. It's fine. You're not.
All right. Well, that didn't work. It didn't work. Okay. Hold on. Maybe I gotta get that first. Okay, wait. Start game button doesn't work. Okay. Failed. Okay. Go back to the drawing board.
Go back to bug testing. The first button doesn't load.
Right.
That's awesome. All right. Wait. How do I switch back our view? Here we go. Okay, Zuda, you want to show us something?
Well, he did the game. I'm gonna start with mine.
All right. While you're setting it up, Coop, anything new? I see your guitar back there. I want to hear you play it.
What's new? Not much. It was National Record Store Day over the weekend, and I hung out with a bunch of my producer community. There's a lot of celebrities there. Joe Claire, who hosted Rap City on BET back in the day, he's a good friend of mine. He was there, and it was just
Which
dope.
record store did you guys go to? I was gonna try to go to one, and then I ended up not leaving the house.
Yeah, it's called Records and Rarities. It's here in Virginia at Springfield Mall. A good friend of mine owns it, Dustin Burdette, and he goes by the rap name Count Fifth. But he owns two of the record stores, so it was cool to see everybody and battle and make beats and stuff. It was a good day. So
that's pretty awesome. I want to hear some new music soon.
Oh, I got my album's coming out real soon. I'm working on it right now, y'all.
Did I tell you guys that Joe Bear is sending me some layers on a Punk Ape Strong song?
Oh, nice.
So we should be seeing that soon. I'm excited. We got to do the same thing, Coop. We got to make something together. I need to
I'm
make
still waiting for us to test drive the DeLorean and go 88 miles an hour. I still want to do that with you, bro.
I've seen the original DeLorean from the show.
They have it out here in Southern California. Sometimes in different places, they'll bring it to events. But it's
how cool would it be if you drive the DeLorean and go 88 miles an hour, and right when you hit 88, the lights turn on inside, and that would be cool as hell, man.
That would be. That would be epic. We have to do that.
You're gonna mod an actual DeLorean
to just strobe lights turn on inside the car, so you crash the second you hit 88. You're blinded.
So I gotta ask Coop, because he's a musician and I know he doesn't like AI. Did you check out Suno, and what did you think about it?
I still have it open on my tab browser. I haven't been messing with it. I just don't. I'm a real musician. I can't phase this AI music, y'all. I play piano, I play by ear. I can't do this fake music, y'all.
You can add in your piano, though.
It's just fun.
Okay, so
you know what I think? I think AI music is its own beast and thing, and it can't replace the human music side of things. Humans will still have to do it in real life, and we are all going to be. I think for lack of a better term, our souls will need to make art and be creative and do shit increasingly more every single day that AI is used to replace that part of our brains, right? The more we use AI for our everyday lives and it takes over, I don't know if we're going to have some kind of universal basic income so we could live off of making art or whatever, but the more we don't exercise that part of our brain, either we lose our freaking minds or we're all going to start having to make more art and lean into that part of our personalities and everything.
Okay.
And I'm a big fan of that, at least. What?
I sent the updated game.
You sent the updated game?
Yes.
Let me try to share my screen.
Way more fun.
Present, share screen. All right. Lake Adventure. Obviously, we're going to jump into the lake again, right? Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, jump in the lake.
All right. You bravely jump in the lake. The water is cool and refreshing. As you swim deeper, you notice a mysterious cave to your left and a beautiful golden fish swimming away to your right. What do? Do we go to the cave or follow the fish?
I'm not going to tell you.
You hold your breath.
Cave or fish? Coop.
Cave.
I would say fish because I don't know how long you can hold your breath.
You swim into the dark cave. As your eyes adjust to the darkness, you see two identical treasure chests. Strange green smoke arises from the one on the right. Which chest will you open? Zuda. Or no, you know the answer? Rankin. Left or right?
Well, obviously the one without the green smoke.
All right. As you open the left chest, a purple octopus wraps its tentacles around you. You struggle, but you cannot break free. Game over. That's pretty fun. Dude,
there was more of the game too.
Well, yeah, because now every other thing that you do, right? Like we go to move to town. Oh, you're instantly.
Is it all randomized?
Jump in lake.
Is it all
follow golden fish.
No, it's not random. It's not randomized.
Jump in lake. Swim to cave.
He said
right
80s
chest.
game. The 80s games weren't randomized.
Swim to the surface with treasure. You won.
You won.
All right. Wait, what if I go jump in lake, swim to cave, open right chest, follow green smoke. Game over, dead. This is pretty awesome for how quickly you did that, right?
3 minutes.
Yeah, there we go. We could do all sorts of things like that.
Yeah, and the best way to make a game really quick is do it. Just tell Claude to make it in an artifact and make it able to share, and just use SVGs for the images.
Awesome.
SVGs.
Okay,
SVGs.
so
yeah, because SVGs are like the vector stuff, and so it takes like no processing power. It takes no storage. Like it's like
so your
nothing.
query was, do you believe taxation is slavery, right?
Not exactly like that.
Okay, what's your query?
Oh, I don't remember. I think I'll pull it up.
It's in our Slack.
It was a fairly long, but you have to have.
Did y'all?
I think we should.
You have to have context to it.
We have to.
Okay.
Yeah, we should do it maybe more properly on a whole stream instead of trying to do it in like 2 minutes at the end. Now,
what I typically do is I give a context of logical arguments, and then after I've given the context of logical arguments, I ask the question.
It's 100 times smarter, so I would love to see how it would handle it now.
I would be happy to have it ask questions.
You know the link. Go to it.
All
right. Well, I see about 9,000 eyeballs on this stream according to StreamYard right now. So if
there are 9,000 eyeballs, it's day 23 of my joke coin, and it's called Migration because David said it, and it's on Pump Fund. Go get it.
Okay, so follow Zuda at what's your Twitter username again?
Zuda's World. And it's a joke coin. You're not supposed to buy it. It's a joke. But since we have the intro, I can say whatever I want without legal
sort of. Not anything you want. And okay, follow Rankin, David W. Rankin on X on Twitter. Follow Coop at DCS Crypto on Twitter, and make sure to get all his new music when he shares it and all that fun stuff. And then make sure you follow Rankin and I, and go to dgb.vc if you're an early stage startup, started something. Here we go. There it is. At DGB Ventures on Twitter. Sign up to the newsletter so you get told about everything that we do. Any other last words, anybody, before we sign off?
Last words are
file your taxes today. Today's the last day to file your taxes.
Yeah.
If you pay taxes, some of us
or file an extension.
I said my last words and died.
Congratulations, you're back.
Wait, do you have to file taxes if you are in the negative and owe nothing?
I think you have to file something that just says I owe nothing. I think.
David, do you know?
Well, yeah, you're supposed to. Well, no, it depends. There's a certain dollar amount that you have to. You don't have to pay taxes.
I'm gonna make the joke I was gonna make earlier, that then we got sidetracked when David Rankin was complaining about all of the things, which is you can solve all of your problems by calling an accountant.
You should call your accountant. Exactly.
You know what I learned? I was doing my taxes all by myself years and years ago, and I was using like TurboTax or one of those things that like everybody was using. And then I had an accountant, a buddy, that came to one of the 805 startup events, and he's like, look, let me just check your last few years of taxes. If there's nothing wrong with them, if everything's fine, there's nothing to worry about. If I discover that I can refile them and check them out, I'll tell you how much it's going to cost for me to do that, and how much you'll get back. It's a win-win. And I was like, all right, cool. And he looked at my last like 3 years, or as many years as you can go back on TurboTax that I did and whatever. And he's like, it's going to cost me a few $100. I'm going to refile the last few years of taxes, and you're going to get like $4,000 back. And I was like, done. It was the last time I ever did my own taxes. From that year on, I paid him a few $100 a year. He does my taxes.
But
it's a good idea.
It says if you don't owe taxes, you may not need to file a return unless you're claiming a refund.
Okay. I don't know.
Man,
even if you own a business, you don't really need to file it unless you want deductions in a future year.
All right. I got to go to another call. Everybody, thank you for joining. We're going to have more of these hang sessions with the crew, but we're also going to have some of our portfolio companies on and some experts in the near future. We had Mark, who was commenting earlier. He's a crypto OG. Last I heard from him, he was living up in the Bay Area, actually in San Francisco. We'll see if he's still there, but regardless, he's into crypto stuff. I emailed him with Rankin on it a second ago, so that we hopefully set that up. We're going to start doing it a little more proper here. So
should I crash next week or not?
Always crash and I'll let you know. But okay. I'm going to try to set up a schedule so we know, like, okay, every other time it's the crew, or this one and this one each month is the crew, versus, you know, having people on. But either way, whenever you do something, you guys are a part of the fam, so you guys can pop in and say hi, even if we want to talk about something else for the day. All right, everybody, thanks for joining. Peace.
Bye.
Peace.